Hey everyone, it's May W here. Welcome to my kitchen. I am in the midst of holiday cooking. One of my family's favorite things to eat. They love corn casserole. If you've never tried it, it is a super easy side dish. It's so easy to prepare, and I don't care where you're going, what function, everyone always loves this corn casserole. And what I have done, I have taken a stick of butter and I have melted it in my bowl here. Go ahead, add a little cracked pepper to my butter. I like to do this now. Go ahead, do that. I do not prefer to salt mine. I don't like a lot of salt in my food, but I love super easy things, y'all, and this is super easy. So I have my stick of melted butter that I just popped in the microwave for about 30 seconds. That's all it takes for mine. Then you're going to take some creamed corn. Okay, I find, it depends on what recipes you look at. I find one stick of butter, regardless of how many cans of corn I put in this, is enough, okay? Almost, I would tell you, if you were just doing 1 can of cream corn and 1 can of whole kernel corn, to only do half a stick. That's my preference. But, I would do half a stick if you're only choosing to do a small portion and doing 1 can of, you will need 1 can of cream corn if you're doing a small batch and 1 can of whole kernel corn. Now, I will tell you, if you'd like for it to taste a little bit fresher too, if you have the time, I have done frozen bag of corn, cooked it in my crock pot, and then drained it and used it in place of the canned whole kernel. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead, I'm making a larger batch. So I did go 1 stick of butter. I'm going to go 2 cans of creamed corn and 2 cans of whole corn. And again, I'm using cans because honestly, with so much cooking that I'm going to be doing today, I prefer to just make it as simple and easy as possible. Let me set that to the side. I'm going to go ahead and add in my whole kernel corn. Be sure that you remember to drain this. Now, I don't get too crazy about how drained it is. A little bit of juice isn't going to matter. It'll just help it make a little bit creamier. And again, corn casserole too is something that it depends on your preference. If you'd like for it to have a little bit of moistness to it, or if you would like for it to be a little thicker, a little firmer. I like mine a little bit moister. All right, so I'm going to stir that in with my butter. I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you feel like you look in and it needs a little more pepper, this can be the time to do it. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle in a little more pepper. The hard part about me telling people how to cook is I'm one of those, I don't really just go by a certain recipe, so to speak. I just kind of eyeball. I don't measure things. I just tend to eyeball. That's the way I cook, and that's why it's hard sometimes to tell people my recipes. I just kind of can eyeball it and see. So now that I have all that mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and add to this some sour cream. Again, depending on what recipe that you look at will depend on how much sour cream it tells you to go for. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add a 16 ounce. And again, if you were doing half this, then go 8 ounce. But I'm going to do 16 ounce of sour cream. And I'm going to just stir that all up. Yeah, I'd like to know what y'all are cooking today. Like I said, I choose to do my cooking and preparation the day before. Not cooking, so to speak. My turkey, I actually have it in the oven right now, okay? And I am cooking that today so that I can go ahead, have it cooked, have it carved. I will keep it overnight in its juices and rewarm it tomorrow. It will actually have more moisture and be more flavorful. And I don't have all that cleanup and all that worrying about where I'm going to have space to cook my casseroles. Okay, so I go ahead and do that today. So my corn casserole, all my casseroles, I'm going to go ahead and mix up ahead of time. I'm going to have those ready to go. So all I have to do in the morning is go to the refrigerator. I'll try to let them sit out at room temperature for just a bit before I put them into the oven. And then that's all I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to pull them out of the refrigerator and stick them in the oven to cook them. And it's not going to be a lot of prep work the day that I want to enjoy my company. All right, now what you add to this as well is a Jiffy corn muffin mix. Yes, you heard me right, Jiffy corn muffin mix. This is going to be able to make its own type of crust. Now, I'm going to sprinkle this in. All right. And I'm just going to mix that until my corn muffin mix does not seem lumpy, okay, in my mixture. And again, depending on if you would like this to have a little more moist consistency to it, you can add a little more sour cream if you'd like. Looks pretty good. It is going to thicken a bit as it cooks tomorrow. It just depends on what consistency you think that you and your guest would prefer. Okay, this is what it's looking like. Can you see that? All right. Now, you can stop right there and put it in your pan. Okay, and have a wonderful, fantastic corn casserole. Just those few ingredients alone. Butter, whole kernel corn, cream corn, sour cream mixed together. That right there would be fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and kick it up a notch this time. Sometimes, depending on my company, I may just leave it at that, but I would actually like to add a little bit of sharp cheddar cheese into this. Okay, this is where you start getting into variations. This recipe can vary. You may change it up if it's one of those signature dishes that you end up taking to your friends' houses a lot because they request it. And I know they will, because this is, again, so good and it is so easy to prepare. You hate to really tell anybody your secret because then they think, oh man, I thought you really worked hard at cooking that. No. It's kind of like looking good. You want everybody to think that you spent $1 million and you spent 10. All right. So I mixed in some sharp cheddar cheese. Another variation that I've had with this, and it's the first and only time I've had this at a restaurant, but there is a little restaurant called Sunday Cafe on Tybee Island. And I think I finally put my finger on what secret ingredient they used. Some people call this cornbread pudding even. I just call it corn casserole. But they actually crumbled and used a little bit of blue cheese in there. Just a little bit. But again, I'm not doing that. It is delicious. I love it. And I've not always been a fan of blue cheese. But that's another way that you could make this recipe vary a little bit and be delicious. But it depends on your crowd. Because my grandchildren will be here, I don't know how they'd like the blue cheese in it. I might even end up putting me a little bowl to the side in a smaller casserole dish and try the blue cheese in it for myself. Oh, it is so good. I love that. But again, I think that's their secret little ingredient. If anybody knows, I'd love to know. But another variation that you could do with this, and I think I'm doing that more with the guys when football games are going on. But to me, adding a can of Rotel into this, a mild Rotel, would be delicious. Oh my gosh. And or just some jalapenos if you have a crowd that doesn't mind a little bit of spiciness. And that would help to also add a little bit of color to this dish if you're one of those that worries about presentation. That's why I think the rotel, between the taste of it and the coloring, would make this beautiful. But I'm not concerned with that this meal, so I'm going to leave it just simple with some cheddar cheese in it. You could omit that altogether, but you can play around with different cheeses in this and see what kind of flavors you can get, and or like I said, add some jalapenos or some rotel. And if you have tried a variation of this and would love to share it with me, I would love to know about it, because I'm always trying to change this up a little bit. But I'm keeping it basic and simple. I'm going to end up pouring this in to my greased dish here, and I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator, throw some aluminum foil over the top of it, and it's going to be ready to pull out of the refrigerator and put into the oven tomorrow morning.